Okay. Hello, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us on our first webinar. So, for those of you that I haven't met before, my name is Deanne. I'm a commercial manager here at Steep. I'm really excited to co-host our first webinar. We also have our event manager on the call, Dorian, who will help us with managing the Q&A a little bit later. And then, of course, we have Johan. Johan, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hello, everyone. I'm Johan Baltzar, co-founder and CEO at Steep. I have the good mic today, but great to be here and great to have a first, hopefully the first of many webinars that we want to do. And happy to talk about the exciting topic about Steep AI and AI analytics. Um, awesome. But yeah, let's kick it off. I think the goals, we'll start out with the goals for this session. We have two main goals for today. So first one, we want to help everyone here at the end of the session. We want to help you to kind of understand the real life value of AI analytics. So we're trying to kind of gather everything that we're learning from customers. We're using Steep AI a lot here internally for Steep as well. So we kind of want to kind of gather everything that we're learning about, like how to use it, how to get value from it, and kind of share that back to you guys, so you can get a good understanding of where this is at right now. And then second of all, just like more practical tips, like how do you make it work? Practical tips, learnings that we've had for like how do you get good answers? How do you make this reliable for a lot of different users? And how do you actually kind of roll this out to many teams, to a whole organization and kind of make it work at scale? So some good topics for today.
Yeah. So what we're going to cover is we'll do really a general introduction, like Johan said, based off of some of our own learnings and learnings we've been hearing from customers. We'll also have some time for questions at the end, but we really want to encourage you guys, if you have any questions as we're going through, or if there's something that you want us to cover, please put it into the Q&A box, and we will either take it during the as we're going through everything, or we'll jump into it after. But it's always a little bit more lively if we have people asking questions as well. So don't be shy if you have something to ask. And then so for today, we have 45 minutes. So it's going to be a little bit high level for our AI and how you get started. But we really want to go deeper. This is the first of many webinars that we'll be doing. So if there's any sessions or anything specific that you want us to cover in the future, please let us know. And we will get something scheduled for that as well. Great. But Johan, we have a lot of people on the call right now. We have a lot of customers, but we also have some people that haven't used Steep before. So I think let's start off with a quick introduction to Steep, and then we can dive in and start doing a live demo of the product.
Sounds good. Yeah, so quick intro to Steep. We're a metrics first analytics platform. I think just super high level, what's unique about Steep? It's what we call metrics first. It's based on this approach where everything is kind of based on governed metrics, governed dimension, targets, and so on. And the users in Steep are basically everyone. So I think compared to, almost all the kind of classic BI tools or BI solutions out there, you typically have this classic way of working where your analysts are answering questions and building dashboards and kind of like governing content. With Steep, it's like it's not about the dashboards. It's all about the kind of centrally defined semantic model, the metrics and dimensions and targets and so on. So the data team it's this new way of working where the data team can kind of focus on that, shipping metrics to the organization, and then everyone is basically analyzing and creating content and building reports. So as an example, there are no viewer licenses in Steep because we're giving freedom and power out to your whole organization. And we really like, that's also why we really like the AI functionality in Steep, because it's like taking this idea and really kind of supercharging it, right? So it's like all the power out in the organization, like all the analysis, like should be available for everyone. And I think now more than ever, that is really true. So Steep AI, we introduced this at our previous event, the kind of in-person event at our office. But it's this integrated AI analytics agent that's part of the product and is made for doing really good deep analysis and reporting. So the idea being that we see a lot of customers that are, of course, building on top of the Steep platform, playing around, experimenting, and building their own agents. And we think what we want to do is kind of bring you the best possible out-of-the-box business analytics agents to solve all these kind of general purpose business analytics and insights questions, and do that really in a really reliable way. We see, I mean, I think a lot of us are seeing kind of AI moving quite fast. I think last year was a lot of talk, a lot of hype, but things were not quite working. I guess what we're seeing for this year is that, yeah, it's really starting to work. It's really starting to change, certainly how our customers work, how we work internally. I think what we're very excited about for kind of AI coming to analytics is that the killer use case seems to be not just like simple questions like talk to your data stuff, but really like deep analysis, right? So I think that's what we've been surprised about, hearing a lot from our customers kind of consistently, that with Steep AI, hey, we're able to do really powerful analysis, really comprehensive stuff, both from the analytics team. But what gets me excited is like hearing that, hey, like my customer success people, my marketing people, like my CEO, like they're doing analysis and pretty sophisticated stuff. So that's I guess like high level what we're seeing, what kind of gets me excited about the AI functionality. But uh, enough, that's kind of high level, I guess, like an intro to the session and to Steep. But I think let's dive into things. I think would love to kind of jump into the actual product and see how do we get value from this, Deanne?
Yeah. Okay, so now just sharing Steep. I'm on our Mac app. I think it's important to mention that the Steep AI is also available on our mobile app, so you're able to ask just as complex questions directly from your phone and get the same answers. But for today, we'll be doing a demo on our Mac app. So from Steep, what's really nice is it's deeply integrated into the entire product. So you can always pull up a window, or you could make it the entire screen. So for right now, what we wanted to show as a starting point is what is some deep analysis that we're able to do. So I always find this fun when I'm watching demos of people. Is like, what's a very dramatic question that somebody could ask the AI to respond to. So let's make it do a full analysis of the workspace. Pretend that I'm going to a board meeting in 10 minutes, and I need to explain, what's happening on a top level to the board. So,
Are
um,
you Do you want to share your screen, Deanne? Sorry.
aren't I? I'm sharing it now. You.
I can see it.
Okay, great. Sorry. Yes, we get a lot of thumbs up here.
Okay.
People can see the screen. It was just me. Go ahead.
Making me nervous. Yeah. But yeah, so now once we ask this question, or Johan, why don't you tell us what's going to happen now that I've asked the question to the Steep agent, what's it going to do to be able to respond?
Yeah, I love that you gave us like a very easy way to start here. Like it's it's a pretty kind of open-ended big question here. So we're putting the Steep agent to work. Yeah, you can hear I'm starting to sweat here. We'll see how it goes. But basically what the agent is doing, like where a lot of the magic is when you're building these agents, is around the what we call the tools, right? The kind of the harness for the agent. So with the Steep agent, it's kind of built on the Steep semantic platform. And to make it really reliable, right? We're kind of guiding it to be like, hey, like you're not supposed to go around to like look at all the data and all the different tables available, but we want it to be using the semantic platform, all your good kind of governed metrics, governed dimensions and targets, and all that good stuff. And you can actually see what it's starting to do here. We tried to make that very transparent. So you can see that it's starting to, oh, the user, needs a quick but comprehensive business analysis. Let me start by, and then it's actually like listing metrics, right? So you're starting to kind of search through your metrics catalog with some, ideas for what it's looking for. And it can do that kind of multiple times to make sure that it gets some relevant metrics. Maybe you want to expand the reasoning there a little bit. Now we actually got an answer, which is interesting. So you can see, yeah, it's like it's listing metrics, getting a lot of details about metrics. It's actually running a lot of queries, so it can query any number of metrics in parallel, using the same cache, of course, so it's faster and scalable. So you can see it's actually like querying 15 metrics here. It's a big analysis here. And then it's able to create charts, so kind of native charts from the Steep platform. So maybe we should look at the results here.
Yeah, what did it say? So I think the big things here to mention as well is, this analysis, of course, was possible in Steep before. All of these charts that we're looking at, we can click on them and bring them to the Explore view so that we're able to dive into them as well. But what the AI is able to do is be looking at these 15 metrics in a matter of 1 or 2 minutes that was, and then give the sort of full analysis here. So it gives us an overview of a few different key metrics to the business. Hopefully at the end, it will do one of my favorite features of the Steep agent so far is some of its summary boards. You can also provide some guidance here for what you want to actually be able to see. So maybe you want it to be looking at month over month, or give a summary of what it suggests for next steps in a table for the different metrics to kind of dive into. So that would be some follow-up questions that you can do. But it will, because I asked it for an analysis and presented, I'm going to be sharing this with the board. I need you to give me some talking points, tell me what to say. Pretty much it's able to do that. And also able to highlight some of the, metrics that we really should be keeping an eye on based of some previous performance compared to now. So this was a little bit stronger. When full transparency, when we were actually practicing this webinar, the plan was that I was going to move over to another chat that had already answered this question, but it answered it so quickly that we could actually use the chat itself. So it's a nice little surprise. But so that's like the question, one type of question that you're able to ask. Sorry, Ewan.
No, I just want to jump in here that I mean, this is just demo data and hopefully some useful insights and analysis done here. But this is actually what we're seeing and hearing from a lot of our customers, from their analytics teams, but also from end users. So I love this story that we got from one of our Nordic customers, that they share that they're at this one company, their head of CS, customer support, had actually like asked to do a similar kind of analysis for their department. So it's just like, cool, can you summarize, like diagnose the current situation, this month for customer support at our company? And the response there, I think, was super interesting, because the agent was, of course, like finding all the relevant CS metrics and kind of like summarizing them. But it actually went deeper, right? So it's actually like, in the ticket volume metric, there was this dimension where they tracked like why customers are contacting us. And then, the Steep agent was able to kind of dive into that dimension breakdown with a lot of details and kind of being able to summarize what the top reason was. So without sharing too many details, like it was able to kind of figure out like, hey, here's actually like something that we need to be an issue with from customers that we need to be on top of. and then was able to kind of correlate that with different product quality metrics. So it was able to look at like, this is what we're hearing from customers. And hey, we can actually see that in our more quantitative metrics as well. So it's kind of triangulating things between, qual and quant stuff, and then summarizing that. And I think that output, was truly amazing. So I think we've been consistently kind of surprised by like, hey, this is actually like super good stuff, and like how fast it is and how it's able to look at so many different things and then kind of summarize and synthesize stuff. So yeah, it's I think that's part of why we're so excited here. Sorry, Dan, for interrupting.
No, it's good. Um, so I mean, on a regular basis, hopefully you don't have the same individuals that are needing to do sort of these deep analysis every single day, but they're going to have more like daily use case where they're reviewing metrics performance and they want to understand what happened. So one key feature to Steep is because everything is based off of the semantic model that is defined by the data team, there's also links back to those specific metrics. So I'm going to dive into our CAC metric here. Oh, it didn't want to go there today. But let's look at the last 6 months on a monthly time frame. And so I see here that in October, we sort of had this dip in CAC, and I want to understand, what happened. So I'm going to open up a new chat, and then I'm going to add the context actually from this chart to the chat and just ask like, why did this decrease? Obviously, it's great if we can see the CAC decrease month over month for 2 months straight, but I want to understand, is it a spend? Is it because we got more customers? What's actual underlying reason that we see that CAC changing in October? So this is also a unique feature to Steep's agent is you're able to add context directly from all of the charts that exist within Steep and put it into the chat. You can also add context directly from here. So if there's any specific metrics that you want to be talking directly about, you can add that here. And this helps the agent know what you're referring to if you ask a direct question, and then also be able to answer maybe a little bit faster with exactly what you're looking for. So these are some of the more operational use cases that people are going to be asking, on a regular basis. Of course, for CAC, you would be able to break this down by dimensions, create a report, do all of that in Steep, but it is also nice to just be able to ask the AI to kind of do all of that analysis itself.
Yeah,
Uh,
something I find like,
mm,
here we go. Here's some good summary here. That's
mm,
cool. I think here it actually saw that this was a derived metric, and then it can kind of figure out, oh, cool, here's the numerator and denominator, and I should probably query them separately and see what's going on, which I think is it's a nice piece of analysis. I think
mm,
what I find like using this more and more is like it changes how you work a little bit. Like it's very fun. It's very like lean back way of working, low friction. I can just like fire away a question, and that's like a great starting point for trying to figure things out. And then it's this kind of integrated way where you're like at any point you can kind of open up that chart, go back to the Explore view in Steep, and then kind of go back and forth between the chat and the rest of the product.
mm.
It's nice.
Yeah. I think it as well something that's nice to call out here is it does also give some additional context. So as analytics leaders, as most of the people are on this call, there can also be a lot of like data literacy questions that come up from end users, right? So they're looking at CAC and they want to, say, oh, look how much more efficient we've gotten in acquiring new customers. And then you need to explain, well, CAC is actually, ad spend divided by the number of registered users. So because spend went down so much, we see that the CAC went down. So it isn't actually more efficient. It was just a big decrease sort of thing. So that also, it gives that context while it's explaining the answers. So it's also to educate the end users and increase their data literacy as well by using it. Um, So we have a question, Johan. does Steep semantic layer understand metric relationships? I.e., does it comply with the concept of metric trees to be able to detect root causes upstream metrics?
Yes. I will say we're kind of working on adding more like structured way of defining that and adding that as like a, first class citizen to the semantic model, which is something that we're super excited about. Now it's actually what we found is that a lot of the times like the agent can kind of figure it out either by like if your metrics are kind of standardized enough and well defined enough, it can totally figure out that like, hey, maybe like revenue is probably driven by transaction volume and average transaction amount. So just by kind of understanding the metrics, it can often figure this out. And there's ways to guide it as well. So we'll cover that in the next part here, showing like how you can add more kind of context to kind of guide the agent in doing the right things. Um, Also, as we saw, like with when you actually have like derived metrics, it will for sure see like that's actually like a derived ratio based on like a numerator and denominator metric. So in that case, that specific case, it will see it. Yeah.
Um, Great. So then the last example of a question that we wanted to show you, which I think I'll also just start a new chat. But one other thing that the Steep AI, of course, you can really ask it any kind of question about anything about your data within Steep, data in general. But one other area is, we know we have customers, they have a lot of metrics within their workspace. They might have a lot of different dimensions, some dimensions that are available with some metrics and things like that. So another really nice use case for the Steep agent is actually to ask it, what metrics are available, what dimensions are available there. So I can show you just an example here where I was asking, I want to see what metrics are available in this workspace along with what dimension. And it's able to quickly pull up all of the metrics along with what type of metric they are and then the dimension here. And you can also ask it questions, which metrics, for example, don't have a certain dimension that you want potentially to include. Maybe you want to ask the data team to do that. But that's another nice way is to actually learn more about what is in the semantic model and what's there. So we have another question, Johan. I really love the question, so please keep them coming. But does the semantic layer integrate with other tools? For example, the DBT semantic layer, or is Steep part of the OSI initiative?
I guess the quick answer is yes. We're part of the OSI initiative, and we love that direction for the industry. So the Steep platform is actually more capable, a lot more capable than more older style semantic layers like the DBT semantic layer, both because we have a lot more kind of components to our semantic model. So it's not only metrics and dimensions, but also cohorts and geographical dimensions and targets are and entities are some of the stuff that we've added to our platform. But yes, we are part of the OSI initiative, and the promise is that you will be able to just like, for customers that are defining all the metrics and making that investment into Steep, which our customers are doing, then you're able to get that out into a standardized format.
Mm.
So you can always kind of sync, export, take your metrics, use the API to do whatever, and also take the definitions and sync them to wherever. Is the quick answer.
Yeah. But yeah, as Johan mentioned, we integrate with right now we have two direct integrations with DBT semantic layer or Cube semantic layer. So if you already have your semantic layers defined there, you can connect it to Steep. We've been told by multiple customers that we have, a very good integration with these two because it's one-to-one. Like everything in Steep is based off of those metric definitions. So if you already have them defined in either of those tools, you can upload them. It will take you 2 minutes, add them. to Steep, and then you can start exploring them, and you can also use the AI functionality off the bat as well. So it's already working for DBT and Cube semantic layers too.
All right, but let's save some for the Q&A at the end.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, so those were some of the examples that we wanted to go through today. So I think the next portion of this, Johan, is how do you actually have to set up your Steep workspace to be able to get the most out of um, Steep, the Steep agent.
Yes. So yeah, I mean, as you saw, I guess in summary for the value, I guess what we see like, yes, being able to empower everyone at your company to do really deep analysis, even if you're not an expert, you can just jump in and do really comprehensive analysis. We try to build it so it's very reliable, so you can it's transparent, it's using the same governed metrics. It's really nice for everyday use cases as well, kind of just speeds up work for everyone. So there's a ton of magic. I think the more, you know, the more you use it, the more use cases you will find. I think is what we see. But how do you make it work? So I think uh, if I guess the good news is that if you are already a Steep customer, you pretty much have everything you need. I guess is the quick answer. So as you know, all of Steep is based on this semantic platform, as we call it. So our customers are, you know, of course, defining their metrics centrally. They have this kind of governed metrics layer. They have their whole kind of semantic model that they're already using to power all their users, and that's also what the Steep AI functionality is using. So both the humans and the agents are using the same thing. So that's one of the, of course, fundamental things to like, how do you make this reliable? The reason why this can be so quick and easy to set up and roll out. So I think the basics are like, you want to define a good metrics catalog, just like with everything in Steep. So with good names, with good descriptions, and you want to make sure that you're actually using names that not like technical names, but you know, it's important that it's like, this is actually how we talk about this in the business, right? This is our kind of common language within the business. So I think naming becomes super important. So we can jump in here to the actual model for this this workspace. So you can see we have a lot of different modules, as we call them. So these are your kind of semantic representation of your different core tables in your data warehouse. So typically there's a lot of facts and dim tables in here, and this is the kind of semantic model representation of that in Steep. So I think what we found to be really useful is like, yeah, make sure you have a lot of metrics, even more detailed ones, having a lot of dimensionality as well, since we've seen that like the agent is quite good at managing like a rich model, a lot of different metrics, a lot of different dimensions, even more detailed dimensions, is able to kind of dig through that and summarize and find patterns. So I would actually encourage you to like, you know, you should make sure that everything you're adding is kind of curated and makes sense and is like makes business sense to add. But then the more the better. And we try to work really hard to make the agents manage like large models without kind of exploding the context. So I think that's one key point. The other is, I think, and you probably heard this before when it comes to AI, that context is king. So the agent is, of course, kind of coming in fresh and trying to use your catalog and learn about your business in order to provide better answers. So there's like what we call like a context layer as part of this semantic model as well. So both on the modules, but also on the dimensions, everywhere you can kind of, let's do an example here. So looking at the customers module here and this KYB status dimension, you can, and we recommend, at least for some of your more specific dimensions, that you add some descriptions. So these are available both to your human users, but also to the agent, right? So this is actually like context that you can add all across your semantic model to guide the agent. What is this thing? What does it contain? How do we use it, at our company and so on. So here, like, yeah, know your business. This is an internal risk review, blah, blah, blah. So you can kind of add, tweak this to kind of guide the agent in the right direction. So if you see that it's like there's something that it doesn't understand or it's not finding the right dimension, then you can kind of go in here and add descriptions to dimensions. You can add it to modules. And for sure, you can also add a lot of descriptions to your metrics as well. So I would say that's definitely like a best practice here on a kind of model and context side.
I think we should also touch on targets, Johan.
Yes, good point. Yeah, we talked about that before. So, the more context you can add, like the better. And there's a lot of good business context as well. So in Steep, we have targets or budgets or financial forecasts is like a key component of the semantic platform. So you can actually upload, all of your financial forecast or budget and reference key metrics here. That's also super good context for the agent. So it understands just like, how are we performing? Like, how are we doing? Like, well, relative to what, right? So, if you actually have your targets there, it can access that as well and kind of compare, how we're performing, are we closing that gap or not? Are we pacing to hit the targets? So I think that's, yeah, super good business context for the agents as well. So that's kind of like from a model and context perspective, what's important. The other side, I think, is more about the human side of things, right? So it's not just the analytics engineering; it's also the teams and the people. So I guess the question is like, how do you roll this out in a good way, right? So how do you introduce this new AI functionality to your company in a good way? What do you have any tips, Deanne? What would you say?
Yeah. I mean, what we hear from customers is Steep is already helping them change the conversation that they're having with their stakeholders internally. So moving the conversation to like from where is this dashboard or what is this number to talking about why something changed or wanting to investigate the underlying reasons. And we believe in have seen that with the Steep AI, it's going to really be deepening those questions, why something is happening and diving into that deeper. So what we really encourage is having a really open dialogue with your stakeholders. Are they, able to answer the kind of questions that they want to? Is it because if they're not, is it because there's any limitations within the semantic model, or is it a limitation within Steep's functionality? And we really encourage you, if you have any feedback on our AI model, to please be reaching out. Our team is continuously working to improve it. So we really want to hear what would be most useful to you. But that is kind of where things are moving. And we actually have one of the questions that we have, Johan, is kind of a little bit about the future to what's happening with Steep AI and what we're working on. So I think with that, maybe we can open up the Q&A, or was there anything else that you wanted to touch on?
Well, I want to add a couple of points, I guess, on kind of rolling this out. So I think, as always, I think a good way is like to kind of find like the good pilot use cases. And I think with AI, there's always this spectrum of like, you have the people who are like all in on day one. It takes them like 10 minutes and then they're started doing a lot of analysis and generating content using AI. And then you have all the way to people who are like, I don't want to change how I work. It takes them way longer to kind of like try it out and experiment. So I think that's a good way to to introduce this. It's like, identify those people. They're probably using AI already at work a lot, and maybe they have a lot of analysis that they need to do. So if you can kind of find those people, you can kind of like, tell that story to the rest of the organization, kind of showing what's possible, showing how certain people or certain teams are already working, and then, kind of sell that to the rest of the company. And also taking a little bit of a step back, I think I guess what I've seen with, us people in analytics, head of data or head of analytics people, is that sometimes we're kind of getting pulled into like, oh, AI is happening everywhere. My CEO is already using Claude and would like to use it for data stuff as well. So sometimes I think we're gonna getting pulled into this. I think we need to be, we should be the leaders here. I mean, it's definitely possible today to do AI analytics in a very reliable way. Like it's working great. So I think, yeah, I just want to encourage folks to be like, you know, see the high level value that this can provide to your organization, and take the opportunity, I guess, to be leaders in introducing this, and don't get dragged into it, I guess.
Yeah, I think we've both had quite a few conversations with our customers where, before we rolled this out, they had stakeholders that were taking data and just uploading into like ChatGPT and asking it to do analysis and stuff. And then they need to kind of be the ones to explain to their, CEO potentially why the analysis that ChatGPT did isn't correct, because it didn't have, the full context and stuff like that. So it's a way to get AI out into the company, which is something that people really want, but because it's so built into that semantic model that it keeps the data team in control.
Yes.
But yeah, I think now we have a few minutes for questions. We have a couple that's already in the chat. And if anybody else has any, please ask them now. But one of the questions is, will there be a bring your own key set up for connecting Steep AI to your own LLM agreement?
Yeah, very good question. I think that's an area where we're listening a lot to our customers right now. So some of the things right now, we have our main provider, like AI model provider. So our preferred choice right now is Anthropic and Claude, which we think helps us to do this very performant agent. So that's kind of out of the box what we're using, and of course, like all the GDPR stuff and security stuff in place in order to make that work. So we're listening a lot to customers right now. We're hearing some customers that have, like, within fintech, where regulations kind of dictate that you need data residency in EU. So that's something that we're looking into, and I think we will also for sure add more choices when it comes to your main model. So I can definitely see us opening this up for you to choose, hey, I want to use Gemini, or I want to use a GPT model instead as my main model. So I think that's where we're going. And if it's also like a strong requirement to, like, I actually need to bring my own keys, then that's definitely something that we can consider.
Great. Then I think there was a misunderstanding at the beginning, but they asked, I think you mentioned at the beginning of the webinar that you will not sell seats anymore. In that case, how will your pricing be? So at Steep, we actually don't have viewer licenses. We have one seat type that is, you can either be an admin or you're have a member. And so everybody in Steep is always able to explore metrics, use the UI to do analysis. They're never going to be in a situation where they're just looking at a static dashboard, for example, and not able to kind of dive deeper and do their own analysis there. And
Yes,
then, yeah.
exactly. So the pricing model remains, seat based, but there's only one type of license, and you can do anything with that license. Steep AI is part of the package, so it comes included with the product. We think it's standard functionality in Steep. We think more and more of the analytics is going to be kind of powered by AI now and in the future. And there's some reasonable usage limitations when it comes to the your token usage.
Yeah. And Steep, somebody asked, when will Steep AI go live? It is already live as well. So we also have a couple questions about just wanting to see reports. So one, could you tell us a little bit more about reports? And another question of, do you also have an analyze in Excel functionality? So I was thinking, I can just share my screen quickly and briefly go over the Steep report, since we hadn't talked on that. And we also have tables in there as well.
Yeah.
That we can look at. But so Steep reports is where you are able to you're able to combine the different chart types that are available within Steep. So everything that I was showing you in the AI, all of the charts, for example, are able to be added directly to a report, but you're also able to add a few different. So I could, for example, add this chart to the marketing report, and then it will appear here. And so reports, you're able to gather multiple visualizations typed. You can add text. We'll in the future be adding the ability as well for AI to create reports too. But right now you're able to just add the content from there. And so these are really user-friendly Notion style type documents that you can create to share. So they can they're always private, but you can also share them. You can create Slack subscriptions. So these get delivered regularly to a Slack channel on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, whatever you want. And then within reports as well, we have tables, which is kind of to go into some of that Excel functionality. So one of the big principles within Steep is, there should always be consistent numbers wherever you are within Steep at all times. So we're always pulling off of those metric definitions that the data team has set up. And so with that, we have these really nice tables within Steep that have some pre-built functionality. So for example, you can connect it to if you want to see revenue and you want to see how is it doing in comparison to target, you're able to do that. And you can add different options if you want to see the difference or the percentage of target, things like that. You're able to color code based off of that. So we have some nice table functionality to be able to support viewing multiple metrics in one place within tables. Then the last question that we have, Johan, is it possible to edit the result, the SQL queries, underlying data, the charts, or the text, and then save the analysis as a report and come back later?
Yeah, I think that's where you would probably use a report. So chats, the AI chats are typically like more point in time type questions. But like saving it to report, that's typically where you save it and you can kind of come back to it later and kind of look at those live charts. So everything in Steep is based on the metrics definitions, as you said, Diane. We're generating live queries, we're running it in your data warehouse. So typically all of the content is live by default. So yeah, you can save it and come back to it at any point in time.
Yeah. And we're always live querying your database as well. So if you save this to a report and then you come back tomorrow, we will then update the visualization inquiry. Great. But if there is no more questions, then we really just want to thank you for your time and joining us. And please feel free to reach out if you have any questions or want to set up a private demo of the Steep AI functionality.
Thanks a lot, everyone. Yeah, and let us know about topics for future webinars. If there's more techie stuff you want to dive into, then we're super happy to do that as well.
Great. Until next time. Thanks, guys.